kids missing on a school bus.
Absolutely outrageous situation unfolded last week in Louisville, Kentucky, as kids went back to school. New bus routes designed with AI by pricey consultants created such a catastrophe. Some kids did not arrive back home until nearly 10 p.m. Parents, for hours, had no idea where their children were. The horror stories are still trickling out, and school continues to be canceled while they try to untangle this absolute disaster. Anyone hearing this story is going to be enraged, but I can tell you as a public school mom myself, I am beside myself over this one. So here's what happened. Jefferson County, where Louisville is located, is the largest school district in the state with some 96,000 kids and 68,000 bus riders. Like many school districts, Jefferson County has struggled to attract and retain bus drivers, leaving them short-staffed and struggling to make the routes work. So in an attempt to solve the problem, they hired a company called Alpha Route, paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to use AI to redesign bus routes to deal with that low staffing. Unfortunately, while the school consulted with Alpha Route, they did not consult with parents who raised concerns about bus stop location safety or with the bus drivers who were tasked with making this whole thing work. Those drivers were desperately sounding the alarm before school day one ever arrived. Here is John Stovall. He's president of the union local that represents those bus drivers, speaking to a local news outlet about how the drivers tried to warn the school district.
And when they were calling me in tears, crying that this is not going to work, and they were afraid they were going to get blamed.
John Stovall knows saying, "I told you so," won't do much at this point.
No, because it doesn't really solve anything.
His drivers had been practicing the routes before Wednesday and telling him the lefts and rights didn't add up. Also, they were going all the way across town.
I'd had like a driver drive out Louisville compound, which is all the way out in East End, all the way to Valley Station for one kid.
And sure enough, absolute calamity ensued. Some buses never showed to pick kids up at all. Some were hours late. Some kids were not dropped off till nearly 10 p.m. at night. They had to go all those hours with no food, no water, and parents at home terrified, having no idea where their kids were and when or if they were ever going to make it home. One parent told the AP that one of his daughters covered in urine when she finally arrived home at 9:15 p.m.
Yikes.
The horror stories, too, continue to pour out. On Facebook, one Good Samaritan said he and his wife saw a little kid, maybe 7 years old, dropped off on a busy road in Louisville at around 7 p.m. at night. The kid looked distraught, so they went to check in with him, and it turns out he didn't really speak English, but they were able to figure out what school he went to. They called the school. Turned out his mom was there frantically trying to locate her son. Apparently, they'd put the wrong bus number on his backpack, so he got dropped off in the completely wrong place, and he was wholly lost. According to the Post, when his mother was finally reunited with him, Mama runs up crying like a baby. She was scared to death. Thank God this couple was there to help this poor child who has to be traumatized by this situation. Another mom posted that her kid had been put on a bus when the kid was not even supposed to be on a bus at all. She spent the day with no idea where her baby was. I cannot imagine ever putting my kid on a school bus again after such a horrifying failure. How are these kids going to feel the next time they have to get on a bus after going through hell and back last time? And as it turns out, this isn't the first time that the Alpha Route AI software failed a school district. In Columbus, Ohio, the school system paid $1.5 million for Alpha Route to design a bus route system so poor that they had to scrap the entire thing mid-year. In Boston, the school district had to backtrack over plans to implement an Alpha Route bus system after parents absolutely revolted. Jefferson County Public Schools has apparently paid them $250,000 for services including bus routes and bell schedules. In a lot of ways, though, the root cause here was the shortage of bus drivers that school districts across the country are struggling with. As of last fall, 60% of school districts said they were still trying to hire bus drivers at the beginning of the school year. And it makes sense why. If you have a commercial driver's license, you got other opportunities to earn money in a full-time year-round position. Consider that drivers on the new UPS contract can earn $170K per year. In Jefferson County, bus driver numbers fell from 900 to 600, leaving the county desperate for a quick fix to paper over that shortage. As Jason Bailey at the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy points out, as private sector employers up their wages, the public sector is going to have to find ways to compete. these types of nightmare scenarios are going to become more and more common. In Kentucky specifically, the legislature has shirked their responsibility to fund school transportation, leaving the school district with no ability to offer the kind of pay that might lure more drivers to help ease the shortfall. According to Jason Bailey's calculations, the Kentucky General Assembly has shorted Jefferson County $104 million in transportation funds they were obligated to provide in the past 4 years alone. Now, just 5 years ago, Kentuckians joined a national strike wave of teachers demanding the state do right by their public schools, kids, parents, and teachers. Those movements were actually concentrated in red states like Kentucky, where school budgets had been under assault by ideological opponents and austerity hawks alike. Listen, money is not going to fix everything in education, let's be clear, but nothing should be more precious to us than the care of our nation's children. Please fire the AI consultants, fund the transportation budget, pay the dang bus drivers more, and for God's sake, do whatever it takes to make sure this mess never happens to another